So I've been playing Horizon Forbidden West lately, and I've played a lot of it. At the time of me recording this video, I am 52 hours into the game. Do you want to know how much of the game I've completed so far? Only 52%. Now yes, that includes everything the game has to offer, main quests, side quests, collectibles, and a bunch of other miscellaneous activities. I'm a big fan of the game and the series as a whole. I think the Horizon series is very unique in terms of story, gameplay, and setting. I love a lot of open world games, but I have grown increasingly tired of them lately. There's no denying the amount of time and effort developers put into making games like the Horizon series, Assassin's Creed games, Ghost Recon, Elden Ring, The Witcher, the Far Cry games, Ghost of Tsushima, and so on. They all have some great aspects to them, but there's some games that just overdo it with the amount of content in the game. And I'm not one that complain usually about the amount of content in a game, but a lot of these games are filled with fluff and the maps are bigger than they really need to be. Gamers also have short attention spans today, and a lot of that has to do with the never-ending flow of new games coming out across multiple platforms. Things need to change with open world games, not just for the sake of gamers, but also for the developers. So let's talk about open world games today. Over the years, I have played a lot of open world games. Far Cry, Assassin's Creed, GTA 4 and 5, Ghost Recon, The Witcher 3, Red Dead 1 and 2. That's just to name a few games and series. I really like these games because of the worlds, story, gameplay, and character customization. I'm all for the large quantity of gameplay elements, and open world games are honestly just fun to talk about and break down because of their complexity. That's why I try to talk about Starfield and, have videos like this every once in a while. But man, I don't know why developers are so obsessed with making maps the size of countries today, and I don't know why they still expect gamers to gather hundreds of collectibles. I know you can ignore the side stuff and just play through the story, but why play an open world game and not check out what else it has to offer? Again, you're missing out on over half of the content that the game provides. These open world games have become repetitive, despite each of them being unique with their own designs regarding world, story, and a variety of gameplay elements. An issue I have come across in Forbidden West is that it's tough to focus on the story because when you are traveling from point A to point B, usually where the next quest is, you come across 15 other things that can distract you, like side quests, activities, points of interest, and collectibles. Getting distracted by lesser things littered throughout the map messes with the pacing of the game, and it limits storytelling opportunities, and you are just wasting time overall collecting pointless collectibles throughout a world with a lot of empty space. Bottom line is, you get distracted easily, and the rewards for collecting and completing all of these things aren't always great. Hell, sometimes you don't even get anything in return other than a character thanking you for going and searching for these items, or maybe some XP. I enjoy side quests and other activities that are fun and interesting. I enjoy side stories even if they don't matter in the large scheme of things. Sometimes they are fun and memorable experiences, or maybe they feature cool characters. It's funny how we complain about the grinded multiplayer games when trying to get through a battle pass, and yet it's a similar feeling in open world games. Completing every part of an open world game for achievements and hitting 100% completion in the game is old now, at least in the way we are doing it today. And again, the activities you do are just boring since a lot of times you're just running errands for characters you meet along the way. You have Preston in Fallout 4 that will inform you a million times about settlements that need your help multiple times per play session. Fetch quests continue to plague open world games, and actually a decent chunk of Forbidden West's main story is a fetch quest. Now, other missions and adventures open up during your search for these specific items in the game, but saying you need to collect these items in order to get to the next part or the second half of the story is kinda lame. I absolutely love games that allow fast traveling because it's so time consuming to try to traverse across the maps in some of these games, especially when there's no transportation, or even the transportation they do give you is not always great. It's not fast, the controls suck. The other half of the issue is that it's difficult to get around due to terrain and enemies, but then in games like Starfield, you are stuck fast traveling constantly between planets and different points on a planet. So while fast traveling is a good thing, there are some cases where it could be a problem and help add to the boredom of a big open world game. It also would be nice to have more games that actually react to the things you do. There's not really many games out there in which people fear you or love you based off of the things you do. I look at a game like Red Dead 2 that I thought they did it right with their honor system, and that even could have been fleshed out more, but what they had in the game was pretty cool. I appreciated it. If you acted like an outlaw, robbing and killing people, then people would fear you and even hate you. If you're a good person and raise your honor, then you get rewarded for it. You'll get discounts at shops, unlock more outfits, and even have the ability to gather more things when you loot bodies. A game is much more enjoyable when your actions affect the way characters and the world itself view and treat you based on what you do in the game. It makes the game feel more meaningful to play, especially when you are deciding on how to play and do things, knowing that your choices actually matter. There's typically some kind of war or conflict going on in a lot of these open world games. The classic open world activity in many games is capturing enemy bases or outposts. Far Cry just loves doing this in every single entry in their franchise. Sure, it's fun for a while, but how can you make it more meaningful? Why can't they make it feel more important and not just a chore? Yes, you capture the base, and your rebels take over the base, and then the rebels will replace the red enemy flags with the classic good guy blue flags. Now, Far Cry 6 did expand on this concept by adding the insurgency mode, in which you were constantly fighting over territories after completing the game. But honestly, it's still just a constant match of tug of war, and all you can earn really is XP and resources in a continuous cycle. Rather than litter a map with collectibles and pointless side activities, make an actual war game. Base the game off of some kind of conquest system, pick and choose which territories to attack, pick and choose your forces for the battle, and set up defenses in other situations. Say if you're getting attacked and you have to defend a base or one of your territories, allow players to choose how to rebuild the base they just captured. Will this base produce ammunition for the army or the rebels? Will it provide more vehicles? You know, these are elements from like real-time strategy games that could be implemented somehow in an open world game. Outpost building is a cool thing in Starfield and Fallout, but even that can be fleshed out more. It's cool that my outposts can produce resources for me to use, but can this be built into something bigger and something I could come back to and continuously work on throughout my playthrough? Bethesda prides itself on allowing you to create your own character and adventure. Well, why not allow me to sell my mining resources for money or trading for other things and, you know, basically start up a mining company? Let me run a mining company as a side gig as I'm playing through the story and doing all the main stuff that they provided in the game. You know, what if my outpost can be turned into a new colony and it develops into a city on a newly discovered planet? I know these are complex systems that are challenging to make, but these kinds of things are much more entertaining than constantly clearing out outposts and doing fetch quests. There's a couple of games that add gameplay elements to help you get involved in the wars going on, and the two games I want to bring up are Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Middle-earth: Shadow of War, two games that I enjoyed playing back in the day. Starting with Assassin's Creed Odyssey, it had a cool thing called conquest battles, which are an important part of establishing dominance in the Peloponnesian War. The large battles pit Sparta and Athens against each other. These battles are available in both main storyline missions and side missions in which you can pick them up while exploring different regions. To take part in a conquest battle, you must lower the power level of the nation currently in charge of that region. Ways to lower the power level include killing soldiers, burning war supplies, stealing treasure, or killing a nation leader. Now, all this can be done while you're attacking enemy bases and completing other missions and activities during your playthrough. The point is, your actions matter. The side mission battles allow you to choose what side to fight on, and then you fight in that big battle, which is a lot of fun. This part of the game is really cool, and it was one of my favorite things to do while going through my long playthrough of this game because it is ridiculously too long. One of my favorite all-time game systems ever created in a game is the Nemesis system in Middle-earth: Shadow of War. The Nemesis system is a core gameplay mechanic, and it's all based on the interactions you have with the orcs you come across. Now, the orcs are procedurally generated, and they populate the different regions in the game, and these orcs are assigned to different looks, classes, traits, weaknesses, strengths, personalities, etc., etc., and these orcs are divided into a hierarchy. They are put into different groups, like grunts, captains, war chiefs, and overlords, and honestly, this is the most complex enemy system I have ever seen in a game. You are literally fighting a living, breathing army, and things change. Orcs can rise through the ranks by killing you or other orcs. They also become stronger by defeating you. Like, you can literally be defeated by the same orc 5 times, and he will keep getting better and better, all while talking shit to you every time you encounter him. It's very cool. You are also able to use your abilities to recruit orcs to join your army. Recruiting different kinds of orcs gives you different kinds of soldiers for your army, and that you can use when you're attempting to take over a stronghold. The orcs can betray each other or even you, and there's just so many different things you could do to interact with them. The game is based on a conflict, and the gameplay is focused on you being a part of it and influencing the way things go. We need more open world games with stuff like this. This system has a patent, so you can't just copy it, but I would love to see other developers at least, I don't know, maybe design their enemies with these kinds of elements in mind. We are living in the live service era, and I'm waiting for the day an open world game gets the live service treatment. Here's an idea I had with Starfield, if it was made with some kind of live service idea in mind. Instead of having 1,000 planets, why not start with just a select few? Maybe have 1 or 2 galaxies full of planets, space stations, and whatnot. You know, Bethesda could then add more planets and galaxies over time as expansions come out that allow for more content, whether it's narrative, guns, weapons, ships, things like that. You know, game companies need to go back to creating with a purpose. People like myself dislike Starfield because there's so many empty planets with nothing but caves and outposts. I think it would be cool to gradually explore an entire space universe, one galaxy at a time. And maybe by doing that, you can continue to add some kind of narrative that continues throughout each expansion. These new planets and space stations could be built with content in mind. They're designed to offer and do specific things. Of course, new characters, creatures, missions, guns, armor, and whatnot can be added as well. I know I'm just giving a half-ass rough sketch here, but a single-player game with a Destiny live service vibe would be kind of cool in my opinion. And I know this is a lot of work for developers, but if the goal is to have Starfield be a relevant game for 5+ years, then this idea is way better than hoping people will somehow enjoy checking out every single bland planet that the game has to offer. These thoughts and ideas aren't just to make gamers like myself happy, it's also to think of the game companies and developers out there too. The gaming industry is in a tough spot right now. Around 25,000 people have lost their jobs in the last 2+ years. The economy sucks, but I wonder if companies need to be a little smarter. Open world games are super expensive to make, and they take a long time. For example, Cyberpunk 2077 took 8 years to develop, and it cost like $174 million to make. Red Dead 2 took over $170 million to make. GTA 5 was $137 million. Maybe developers need to cut back on the scale of these open world games and hone in on their visions a bit more. The Assassin's Creed open world games are beautiful and extremely detailed. Horizon Forbidden West might be one of the prettiest looking games I've ever seen. Modern day open world games are gorgeous and almost perfect in detail, but do we really need them to be this big? Do we really need to travel through every part of Egypt or Greece? Does the map need to be big enough to include 5 different biomes? Open world games need to focus on quality over quantity. It's time we start moving past collectibles and pointless fetch quests, and start creating new mechanics like the Nemesis system. It not only makes the gamers happy, but it could perhaps save some jobs within the gaming industry. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on open world games today. Thanks for watching this video. Go check out other content on the channel. Also, you can find the audio version of my content on podcasting platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Just Google Analyze This Podcast. You can also find me on X and TikTok, X at Analyze This _YT, and TikTok at Analyze This 54 _YT. Thanks again, and take care.